You float, a whisper of a spirit, over the hushed, pre-dawn streets of Edo. Below, the city stretches out like a slumbering dragon, its scales of tile and timber glinting faintly under the nascent light. A cool breeze, carrying the scent of damp earth and distant charcoal fires, caresses your invisible form. You drift over narrow alleys, where the dreams of merchants and artisans are still woven in the dark, and past grander thoroughfares that will soon bustle with the vibrant rhythm of human life. The air is so still, you can almost hear the soft rustle of silk kimonos from within the homes, or the gentle creak of wooden floors under sleeping feet. This, my dear listener, is Edo, sometime around the late 17th century, a city poised on the cusp of another day, and you, in your newfound spectral form, are about to witness it unfold. Though, let's be honest, you probably won't make it through this day without drifting off yourself. And that's perfectly fine. In fact, it's encouraged. Before we truly surrender to the embrace of Edo, a gentle whisper. If you find yourself enjoying this quiet journey, a soft tap of the like button would be a most appreciated gesture. And if you'd like to continue these peaceful sojourns through history, perhaps consider subscribing. It's a quiet community we're building here, a shared space for tranquil exploration. Do let us know where you're listening from and what time the gentle tendrils of our story find you. It's a curious thing, this shared moment across the vastness of time and space. Now, let's ease into tonight's journey and allow the ancient world to unfold around us. You descend, not quite touching the ground, but settling into the quiet hum of the city. The first hint of dawn paints the eastern sky in hues of soft rose and pearly gray. Below, a solitary figure emerges from a small, unassuming dwelling. It's a man, perhaps in his late 50s, his movements slow and deliberate, a testament to a life lived with careful observation. He carries a small lacquered box, its surface reflecting the nascent light like a still pond. He's dressed in simple indigo-dyed cotton, practical and unassuming, yet there's a quiet dignity in his bearing. He doesn't rush, doesn't glance at the silent houses around him. His gaze is already upward, drawn to the canvas of the sky. This, you realize, is not a man going to work in the rice fields or preparing to open a bustling shop. This is a man embarking on a different kind of labor, one that requires patience, stillness, and an almost sacred attention to the ephemeral. He finds his preferred spot, a small, elevated patch of ground, just outside the city's immediate clamor, near a gnarled pine tree that seems to have witnessed centuries of sunrises. He sets down his box with a soft thud, a sound that in this pre-dawn quiet seems surprisingly loud. You watch as he slowly unfolds a small, intricately woven mat, placing it just so, aligning himself not with any cardinal direction, but with some invisible axis of celestial observation. He then sits, his back straight, his hands resting gently on his knees, palms upturned, and he waits. He waits for the clouds. This, my friends, is the gentle art of kamanomechi, the way of the clouds, a practice so subtle, so deeply ingrained in the fabric of Edo life, yet so often overlooked by grander narratives of samurai and shoguns. It wasn't a formal religion, nor a competitive sport, but a quiet, personal communion with the ever-changing sky. The major historical fact here is that while the samurai class dominated the political landscape and merchants amassed wealth, a significant portion of Edo's population, including ordinary citizens, found profound meaning and solace in nature-based spiritual practices, of which cloud watching was a subtle but pervasive thread. It was the original free entertainment, long before Netflix and its endless scroll. You didn't need a special ticket, just a sky and a willingness to be present. The first wisps of cloud begin to appear, like shy performers emerging onto a vast, empty stage. They are delicate, almost translucent, catching the first golden kiss of the sun. Our observer, the old man, breathes deeply, a slow, measured intake of air that seems to draw the very essence of the morning into his being. He doesn't speak, doesn't move. He simply witnesses. This quiet dedication, you muse, is perhaps why they lived so long back then. Less screen time, more sky time. Historians still debate whether this widespread practice of mindful observation contributed to the remarkable artistic output of the Edo period, or if it was merely a pleasant pastime. But for our cloud watcher, it's clearly more than just a pastime. It's a profound engagement. He reaches into his lacquered box and withdraws a slender brush and a small, smooth stone upon which a drop of water has been placed. Beside it, a tiny block of ink, as black as a moonless night. He begins to grind the ink, a slow rhythmic motion that produces a soft, almost imperceptible hum. This isn't about creating a masterpiece, you understand. This is about process, about slowing down time to the pace of falling dew. It's a bit like watching someone meticulously organize their spice rack, but with far grander implications for the soul. The ink, as it darkens, seems to absorb the very essence of the pre-dawn quiet, becoming a liquid shadow ready to capture the fleeting forms above. This particular ritual, the grinding of ink, was an obscure cultural tidbit, often performed in a specific way by those practicing kama no maichi, with the movement of the hand mimicking the slow, deliberate unfolding of the clouds themselves. It was a meditative act in itself, preparing both the artist and the medium for the fleeting beauty about to be witnessed. The sun, now a shy orange orb peeking over the eastern horizon, begins its slow ascent, casting long, dancing shadows across the slumbering cityscape. The air, which moments ago held the crisp chill of pre-dawn, softens, warming with the promise of the day. Our cloud watcher remains perfectly still. His eyes, however, are anything but. They flit and linger, tracking the delicate ballet unfolding above him. The first wisps of cloud, the harbingers of the day's atmospheric drama, are now joined by broader strokes of white and gray, forming shapes that are both ethereal and oddly familiar. You find yourself, even as a detached observer, drawn into the same quiet contemplation. It's remarkably easy to get lost in the slow unfolding of the sky, isn't it? Almost as easy as losing track of time while doom-scrolling, but with significantly fewer existential crises. He finally dips his brush into the dark, velvety ink, and with a precision born of countless hours of practice, begins to translate the sky onto a small, folded piece of paper. Not a landscape, you notice, but a series of quick, impressionistic strokes, capturing the essence of a cloud formation, a fleeting shadow, the way light pierces through a gap. Each stroke is deliberate, yet remarkably fluid, as if the brush itself is breathing. He isn't trying to create a photographic replica. He's trying to capture the feeling of the cloud, its ephemeral nature, its quiet journey across the sky. This is where the true art of kama no michi lies, not just in seeing, but in feeling the atmosphere. It is a bit like trying to paint the perfect cup of tea. It is not just the color, but the steam, the warmth, the quiet comfort it brings. A major historical fact to consider here is that while many historical accounts focus on grand artistic movements, like ukiyo-e woodblock prints the Edo period also fostered a thriving widespread culture of personal ephemeral art forms, often created for personal enjoyment or as fleeting gifts rather than for public display or commercial gain. This quiet, unheralded art was as much a part of the cultural tapestry as the more famous, mass-produced works. It speaks to a society that, despite its rigid social structures, found ample space for individual expression, especially when that expression was tied to the appreciation of nature. As the sun climbs higher, the clouds begin to shift and reform. A long serpentine cloud stretches across the sky, its edges softened by the rising warmth, almost like a sleeping dragon exhaling gently. Then, as if on cue, a cluster of smaller, fluffier clouds like errant sheep begins to drift towards it, slowly merging, their individual forms dissolving into a larger, more ambiguous shape. Our cloud watcher pauses, his brush hovering over the paper, his eyes wide with a quiet intensity. He's not just looking. He's listening to the clouds, trying to discern their unspoken narrative. Perhaps he's wondering if that dragon cloud has had enough coffee yet to start its day. He makes a few more swift strokes, then sets the brush down, his piece of paper now bearing a delicate, abstract representation of the sky's morning ballet. He doesn't linger over his work, doesn't critique it. He simply folds it with care and places it back into his lacquered box. This is not about perfection. It's about presence. It's a lesson in letting go, a gentle reminder that some beauty is meant to be enjoyed in the moment, not preserved for eternity in a dusty museum. Though, let's be honest, if you put these cloud drawings in a gallery today, they'd probably sell for millions. Go figure. An obscure cultural tidbit associated with Komonomichi practitioners was their peculiar habit of sometimes naming individual cloud formations. Not official, scientific names, mind you, but whimsical, poetic monikers based on their fleeting shapes or the emotions they evoked. A cloud resembling a distant mountain might be called Fuji-san's distant cousin, or a particularly dramatic formation, the weeping willow of the sky. It was a way of personalizing the impersonal, of forging a deeper connection with the vastness above. Our observer, though silent, seems to be engaged in just such a silent dialogue with the forms above him. Historians still debate whether this specific naming practice was a widespread phenomenon or limited to more dedicated Komonomichi enthusiasts, but it certainly adds a layer of quiet charm to the whole affair. The old man rises slowly, his movements still deliberate, unhurried. He collects his mat, his lacquer box, and begins his gentle walk back towards the waking city. The air is now filled with the distant sounds of life stirring. The clatter of wooden geta on cobblestones, the low murmur of voices, the rhythmic thump of a distant rice pounder. But for a brief, precious window, he was utterly immersed in the silent symphony of the clouds, a private concert performed just for him. And for you as well. You feel a curious sense of calm settling over you, a quiet echo of his own peaceful contemplation. The city awaits, but for now, the sky has truly been the star. You follow the old man, a silent companion, as he re-enters the narrow, winding lanes of Edo. The city, which moments ago was a hushed canvas of dreams, is now slowly, reluctantly stretching awake. The air hums with a new energy, a delicate counterpoint to the quietude of the cloud-watching hill. You notice the first faint plumes of smoke curling from tiled rooftops, announcing the firing of morning hearths, the preparation of miso soup and grilled fish. The scent of woodsmoke, savory broths, and damp earth mingles in a surprisingly comforting blend, a true testament to the start of a day. It's like the first few gentle chords of a symphony, promising a rich and varied performance. He turns down an alley barely wide enough for two people to pass. Its walls adorned with weathered wooden signs indicating various trades, a maker of bamboo flutes, a repairer of broken pottery, a calligrapher whose brushstrokes on the faded paper still possess a quiet strength. The sounds here are muted, contained within the close-set buildings. A distant dog barks, a lone cart rumbles somewhere far off, but mostly it's the quiet murmur of life stirring indoors. You can almost hear the gentle sighs of people as they shake off sleep, or the soft rustle of futons being folded away. It's a bit like being inside a very large, very old, and surprisingly fragrant beehive before the bees really get going. Our cloud watcher eventually arrives at a modest house, its sliding paper screens, or shoshi, still drawn against the morning light. He doesn't knock, but simply slides a panel open with a soft, practiced hand and disappears inside. You, of course, follow, for what is a story without its central character? The interior is dimly lit, the light filtering through the paper screens, casting a soft, diffuse glow on the tatami mats. The air inside is warm, comforting, carrying the subtle scent of old wood and green tea. It's the kind of place where time seems to slow down, where every object feels like it has a story to tell, whispered over generations. A woman, her hair still unbound from sleep, emerges from an inner room. She carries a steaming teapot and 2 small, handle-less cups. She doesn't speak, but her movements are gentle and familiar, a silent dance of long-shared domesticity. Our cloud watcher sits on the tatami, his movements just as fluid and unhurried as when he was on the hill. He accepts the tea, its warmth radiating through the delicate ceramic. This daily ritual of shared tea, quiet and unadorned, is as much a part of his morning as the clouds themselves. It's a gentle anchor, pulling him back from the ethereal world of the sky to the grounded reality of home. A major historical fact to grasp here is the profound importance of daily rituals, no matter how small, in Edo period Japan. These rituals, from the meticulous preparation of tea to the way one greeted the day, provided a sense of order and meaning in a society that valued harmony and stability above all else. Life was structured around these predictable patterns, creating a rhythm that permeated every aspect of existence, much like a well-composed piece of music, only with less improvisation. It was a comforting predictability, especially since they didn't have morning news broadcasts to tell them the world was ending every 5 minutes. He sips his tea, his eyes still holding a distant contemplative look, as if the images of the morning clouds are still playing across his inner vision. The woman sits opposite him, equally silent, equally at peace. You notice a small potted plant in the corner, a miniature pine tree, its branches meticulously pruned and shaped. This, you realize, is not just a plant. It's a bonsai, a living sculpture, a testament to patience and the beauty of contained nature. It's a funny thing, isn't it? How are people so fascinated by the vast, unbound sky could also find such deep beauty in something so meticulously controlled and tiny? An obscure cultural tidbit related to this morning routine. Many Edo period homes, even humble ones, would keep a small personal tokonoma or alcove, even if it was just a shelf where a single rotating artistic display would be placed. Sometimes it was a seasonal scroll, other times a delicate flower arrangement. For our cloud watcher, it's not hard to imagine his small, folded cloud sketches finding their temporary place of honor here, a quiet reflection of the day's beginning. Historians still debate the extent to which this practice permeated all levels of society. But the underlying principle of finding beauty in the simple and the ephemeral was undoubtedly widespread. The quiet domesticity continues for a while longer, a peaceful interlude before the full surge of the day begins. You can hear the distant sounds of the city growing louder now, a crescendo building outside the protective walls of this small home. Voices are clearer, footsteps more hurried, the rhythmic clack of a distant loom, the soft call of a street vendor announcing their wares. It's a symphony of waking, and it's slowly, gently, pulling our cloud watcher back into the present. Remember the street you walked past earlier? The one with the quiet shops? It's about to wake up too, just like everyone else. He finishes his tea, places the cup down with a soft click, and a faint, almost imperceptible smile touches his lips. He is, you sense, ready for the day, his spirit refreshed by the sky and the solace of home. The city outside the cloud watcher's home is no longer merely stirring. It is fully, vibrantly, and sometimes quite noisily, awake. You follow him as he steps out into the morning, and the sensory landscape shifts dramatically. The air, still carrying hints of woodsmoke, is now permeated with the sharper aromas of fresh fish, fermenting soy, and the earthy scent of drying indigo fabric. The soft whispers of pre-dawn have given way to a cacophony of sound, the rhythmic slapping of geta on cobbled streets, the cheerful shouts of street vendors hawking their wares, the distant clang of a blacksmith's hammer. It's like the city has finally had its morning coffee, and it's buzzing with an almost frantic energy. You can almost feel the vibrations of life beneath your spectral feet. He moves with purpose, but still without haste, through the bustling thoroughfares. People hurry past, their faces a tapestry of expressions, some focused and determined, others gossiping animatedly, a few still wearing the lingering traces of sleep. You see merchants meticulously arranging their displays of colorful fabrics, gleaming ceramics, and baskets overflowing with fresh produce. Children, surprisingly numerous, dart between legs, their laughter echoing through the narrow spaces. It's a vivid, pulsating scene, a stark contrast to the quiet contemplation of the morning. It makes you wonder how anyone managed to find a moment of peace in all this. But then, you remember the clouds. Our cloud watcher, however, seems to navigate this chaos with an almost serene detachment. He acknowledges a few passers-by with a slight nod, a quiet smile, but his attention remains unruffled by the surrounding hustle. He is, it seems, a man who carries his inner calm with him, a portable sanctuary in the midst of the urban storm. It's a bit like watching someone doing Tai Chi in the middle of a mosh pit, utterly incongruous, yet strangely captivating. He occasionally glances up, not at the crowds, but at the sky, as if checking in on his celestial companions, seeing how their day is progressing. He stops at a small, unassuming stall nestled between a bustling fishmonger and a noisy rice dealer. The stall sells paper, not just any paper, but high-quality washi, meticulously crafted from mulberry bark. Some of it plain, some subtly textured, some bearing the faintest, almost invisible patterns. The vendor, a woman with quick, intelligent eyes, greets him with a warm smile and a knowing nod. There's a quiet understanding between them, a recognition of shared appreciation for the delicate beauty of paper. This isn't a quick transaction. It's a moment of shared aesthetic appreciation. A major historical fact is that paper, particularly washi, was not merely a writing material in Edo Japan. It was an integral part of the artistic, spiritual, and daily life. It was used for everything from sliding screens and lanterns to clothing, and even everyday tools. The quality and craftsmanship of paper were highly revered, making a paper vendor a surprisingly important figure in the community, akin to a sommelier for fine wines, but for cellulose. This emphasis on quality and meticulous craftsmanship extended to virtually every aspect of daily life, elevating the mundane to the level of art. Our cloud watcher carefully selects a few sheets of paper, running his fingertips over their surface, feeling their texture, their subtle variations. He holds them up to the light as if testing their ability to capture and transmit the essence of light itself. You realize these are not just blank canvases. They are potential containers for the fleeting forms of the sky, repositories for moments of silent observation. He's not buying office supplies. He's investing in potential memories. It's a truly profound form of retail therapy when you think about it. An obscure cultural tidbit related to the paper-making process in Edo period was the practice of some washi artisans, adding microscopic flecks of mica or even dried flower petals to their paper during production. These almost invisible inclusions would only become apparent when held up to a specific light, creating a subtle shimmer or an unexpected burst of color. It was a secret beauty, intended for the discerning eye, much like a tiny hidden detail in a grand painting. Historians still debate the practical purpose of these inclusions versus their purely aesthetic appeal, but it certainly speaks to a culture that delighted in hidden wonders. He pays for his paper, exchanging a few quiet words with the vendor, perhaps about the weather or the quality of the recent harvest of mulberry bark. There's no rush, no pressure. It's a human connection forged over a shared appreciation for simple, beautiful things. As he turns to leave, you notice a small, exquisitely carved wooden bird charm hanging near the entrance of the stall, its wings poised as if about to take flight. It's a small detail, easily overlooked in the bustling street, but it speaks volumes about the pervasive aesthetic sensibility of Edo. You follow him as he continues his journey, his small package of washi tucked securely under his arm. The street you passed earlier, the one that was quiet and expectant, is now a vibrant artery of the city, pulsating with life and commerce. The smells are richer, the sounds more complex, a testament to the full awakening of Edo. He might be an ordinary man, living an ordinary life, but his morning rituals, his quiet appreciation for the clouds and the paper that captures their essence, transform the mundane into something quietly profound. He has found his rhythm, a serene counterpoint to the city's vibrant pulse. And in doing so, he subtly reminds you to find your own. As the morning progresses in Edo, the rhythmic clatter of looms becomes a more dominant sound, weaving itself into the city's complex acoustic tapestry. You drift alongside our cloud watcher, who now turns down a slightly wider street, one lined with workshops rather than just houses and stalls. The air here carries the faint, clean scent of freshly cut wood and the sharp tang of metal on metal. Artisans, their faces smudged with dust or stained with dye, are already deeply engrossed in their work, their movements precise and practiced, honed over years of dedication. It's a symphony of industry, a testament to the sheer amount of specialized labor that kept Edo humming. You realize, with a slight sleepy chuckle, that this city was basically one giant Etsy store, only with fewer artisanal candles and more actual swords. Our friend, with his newly acquired washi, doesn't enter any of these workshops directly. Instead, he pauses outside a small, unassuming building, its facade decorated with a single, elegant brushstroke character signifying ink. The door is open, revealing an interior where light struggles to penetrate the shadowy corners, illuminating only the essential tools of the trade: mortar and pestles, stacks of dried soot cakes, and small, intricate molds. The air within is heavy with the rich, earthy scent of pine soot and animal glue, the fundamental components of traditional Japanese ink. It's a smell that, once inhaled, seems to linger in the memory, a quiet aroma of craftsmanship. He enters, and you, naturally, follow. The ink maker, a man older than our cloud watcher, but with hands surprisingly strong and nimble, looks up from a block of ink he's meticulously polishing. His face is a roadmap of fine lines, each one etched by years of focused work under dim light. There's a quiet respect exchanged between the two men, a silent acknowledgement of shared values and a deep appreciation for the tools of their respective crafts. Our cloud watcher shows him the small folded pieces of paper from his morning's observations. The ink maker nods slowly, his eyes tracing the delicate lines and washes, understanding the subtle language of the clouds. A major historical fact to consider here is the incredible specialization of crafts in Edo, Japan. Unlike more generalized artisans, an ink maker focused solely on producing high-quality ink, often using secret family recipes and techniques passed down through generations. His dedication to a single craft, perfecting it over a lifetime, was a hallmark of Edo period industry and contributed to the unparalleled quality of many Japanese goods. Imagine if your local coffee shop only specialized in the perfect foam art. This was that, but for everything. Our cloud watcher isn't here to buy ink. He has his own grinding stone, his own block of ink. He's here for consultation, for an exchange of knowledge, a quiet moment of camaraderie with someone who understands the subtle nuances of his tools. He asks the ink maker a question, his voice a soft murmur, about the way a particular type of soot-based ink might react to the humidity in the air, how it might dry differently on the new paper he has purchased. The ink maker responds thoughtfully, explaining the minute differences in pigment consistency, the subtle variations in drying time depending on the fineness of the grind. It's a conversation filled with precise vocabulary, an almost scientific discussion veiled in poetic terms. An obscure cultural tidbit: some of the most highly prized Edo period inks were not just black, but had incredibly subtle undertones. A hint of deep blue, a whisper of reddish brown, or even a faint metallic sheen, achieved through secret additives like pulverized pearls or specific types of ash. These nuances were often only perceptible to the most discerning eye, or under certain lighting conditions, adding another layer of mystique to the art of ink making. Historians still debate the precise recipes for some of these famed inks, as many were closely guarded family secrets. The quiet exchange continues for some time, a testament to the value placed on shared expertise and the continuous pursuit of perfection in even the most humble of materials. It's not about commerce here, not really. It's about craft, about passion, about the deep, satisfying understanding that comes from mastering a skill over a lifetime. You realize that for our cloud watcher, his daily ritual extends far beyond the hill, encompassing the very tools he uses, the people who craft them, and the subtle relationships that bind him to his community. It's a quiet testament to the interconnectedness of things, a gentle reminder that even the simplest pursuits can weave a rich tapestry of human interaction. The air in the shop, thick with the scent of ink, feels almost meditative, a sanctuary from the bustling world outside. Leaving the quiet, earthy scent of the ink maker's shop, you find yourself back in the vibrant flow of Edo's morning. The sun is now higher, casting sharper shadows and intensifying the city's colors. The soundscape has shifted again. The individual calls of vendors are now a dense chorus, punctuated by the distant clatter of a palanquin or the steady creak of a water carrier's buckets. The street our cloud watcher now walks is a main artery, wider and more heavily trafficked than the narrow lanes you explored earlier. Remember the street with the quiet shops? This is its boisterous, older sibling, full of life and purposeful movement. He doesn't head home. Instead, he turns into a quiet, almost hidden garden attached to a large, wooden temple. The transition is abrupt and profound. One moment, you're enveloped in the clamor of the city. The next, you're in a pocket of profound stillness, where the only sounds are the gentle rustle of bamboo leaves, the distant cooing of doves, and the soft murmur of a hidden stream. It's like stepping from a bustling market into the quiet embrace of a library, only green and with considerably more moss. The air here is cooler, cleaner, carrying the faint calming scent of damp earth and blooming camellias. The garden is meticulously maintained, a miniature landscape designed for contemplation. There are raked gravel paths, artfully placed stones, and small, tranquil ponds where koi fish drift like living jewels. Our cloud watcher finds a secluded bench beneath a weeping willow, its branches drooping gracefully like a cascade of green hair. He settles down, his posture relaxed yet attentive, his gaze once again drawn upward, towards the sky peeking through the canopy of trees. It's almost as if he needs regular sky check-ins, like a human weather station, but with a much more poetic output. Here, in this serene haven, he pulls out his lacquered box. Instead of his brush and paper, he carefully withdraws a small, polished wooden box. He opens it to reveal a collection of small, flat stones, each one smooth and uniquely shaped. Some no bigger than a thumbnail, others fitting neatly into the palm of his hand. These aren't just ordinary pebbles. They are suseki, viewing stones, natural stones chosen and displayed for their aesthetic beauty, often resembling mountains, islands, or even abstract forms. They are, in a sense, miniature landscapes distilled into stone. A major historical fact to underscore is that the appreciation of suseki was a refined art form in Edo Japan, often practiced by samurai, scholars, and wealthy merchants as a form of meditative contemplation. Unlike the dramatic displays of a full rock garden, suseki offered a portable, intimate connection to nature, allowing one to bring the essence of a mountain range or a windswept coastline into their home or garden. It was the ultimate minimalist decor, long before anyone invented decluttering gurus. He arranges a few of the stones on the bench before him, experimenting with their placement, observing how the dappled sunlight catches their contours. He doesn't merely look at them. He seems to engage with them, imagining the vast landscapes they represent, the silent stories embedded in their ancient forms. It's a dialogue between man, stone, and imagination, a quiet dance of appreciation. You realize he's not just looking at rocks. He's communing with miniature universes. An obscure cultural tidbit related to Suseki is the practice of occasionally watering the stones, not with a hose, but with a fine mist or a delicate brush dipped in water. This brief moment of dampness would often intensify the stone's color and bring out its subtle patterns, making its features appear more pronounced, as if bringing a miniature landscape to life after a refreshing rain. It was a fleeting enhancement, a temporary deepening of beauty, much like a good filter on a photo, but entirely natural. Historians still debate the specific origins of this watering tradition, but its meditative quality is undeniable. The gentle calm of the temple garden begins to recede as our cloud watcher, his spirit seemingly recharged by the silent company of stones and sky, emerges back into the bustling streets of Edo. The sun, now nearing its zenith, casts a harsher, more direct light, stripping the city of its pre-dawn mystique and bathing it in the unapologetic clarity of midday. The sounds are louder, more defined. The sing-song call of a noodle vendor, the insistent rhythm of a cooper hammering hoops onto a barrel, the distant muffled thrum of a hand-powered cart. The city is a full orchestra now, playing at fortissimo, and it's hard not to feel swept along by its relentless momentum. You might even find yourself instinctively checking your non-existent watch, even though time, in this era, felt less like a ticking clock and more like the slow, deliberate unfolding of a scroll. He navigates the crowds with practiced ease, a silent current flowing through the noisy river of humanity. You notice that he doesn't seem hurried, even amidst the midday rush. There's an unhurried grace to his movements, a quiet confidence that suggests he is perfectly at home in this vibrant chaos. He glances up at the sky again, not with the focused intensity of the early morning, but with a casual, almost affectionate gaze, as if checking on an old friend. The clouds, now higher and more dispersed, seem to shimmer in the brighter light, their forms less defined, more ephemeral. Perhaps they too are settling into the quiet hum of the afternoon. His next destination is an unexpected one, a small, unassuming tea house, tucked away on a side street that somehow manages to retain a whisper of tranquility amidst the surrounding din. It's not one of the grand, sprawling establishments favored by merchants or samurai, but a modest place, its entrance marked by a simple noren bearing a single, faded character. The scent of roasted tea leaves and sweet pastries wafts invitingly from within, a comforting aroma that seems to promise respite from the midday sun and the city's relentless energy. It's the kind of place where you imagine people come to recharge, or perhaps just to quietly ponder the mysteries of existence over a warm cup. He slides open the shoshi and steps inside. The interior is cool and dim, a welcome reprieve from the outside brightness. A few patrons are scattered throughout the small room, engaged in quiet conversation or lost in solitary contemplation over their cups of tea. The rhythmic clink of ceramic on wood, the soft murmur of voices, and the gentle sigh of steam from the kettle create a soothing backdrop. It's a sensory balm, a perfect antidote to the sensory overload of the main streets. You feel yourself relax, a subtle sigh escaping your own invisible form. A major historical fact to highlight here is the pervasive role of tea houses in Edo period society. More than just places to drink tea, they served as informal community hubs, gathering places for people from all walks of life, artisans, scholars, even low-ranking samurai to exchange news, discuss art, engage in quiet contemplation, or simply escape the rigors of daily life. They were the original social media platforms, only with better snacks and significantly less outrage. This widespread culture of public gathering places, contributed significantly to the intellectual and social vibrancy of Edo. Our cloud watcher takes a seat at a small, empty table by a window that offers a sliver of sky. A young woman, her movements graceful and unhurried, approaches with a pot of green tea and a small plate of delicate, seasonal sweets. She places them before him without a word, her silent service a testament to the quiet understanding that often existed between regulars and their establishments. He pours a cup of tea, its clear, golden liquid steaming gently, carrying the fresh, slightly bitter aroma of roasted leaves. He doesn't rush the first sip, letting the warmth slowly permeate his being. An obscure cultural tidbit about Edo tea houses was the occasional practice of offering cloud tea, a special, light green tea, often from the first flush of spring, that was said to evoke the ethereal lightness of clouds. It was typically served in clear or lightly glazed ceramic cups to allow the drinker to appreciate the subtle, almost translucent color of the brew. Historians still debate the specific criteria for a tea to be deemed cloud tea, and whether it was truly a distinct varietal or more of a poetic marketing term. But you can imagine the quiet delight of someone like our cloud watcher, sipping such a brew while contemplating the sky. He closes his eyes for a moment, perhaps savoring the taste, perhaps letting his thoughts drift back to the morning clouds. The gentle warmth of the teacup in his hands, the soft sounds of the tea house, the subtle fragrance in the air, all combine to create a moment of profound, unassuming peace. He's not doing anything grand or heroic, but simply existing, present in the moment, finding beauty and solace in the everyday. It's a gentle reminder that even in a bustling city, pockets of stillness and contemplation can be found, if one only knows where to look and how to truly taste the tea. The tranquility of the tea house slowly gives way to a faint rhythmic sound from outside, a gentle drumming that seems to pulse with the very heartbeat of the city. As our cloud watcher finishes his tea, places the cup down with a soft, resonant click, and rises from his seat, you realize the day is far from over. The quiet respite has prepared him for the afternoon's rhythm, which promises to be more communal, more interwoven with the fabric of Edo's vibrant public life. He offers a silent bow to the young woman tending the tea house, a gesture of quiet gratitude, and steps back out into the bright, bustling street. The drumming grows louder now, accompanied by the high-pitched call of a flute and the distant murmur of many voices. It's not the sharp, percussive clang of industry, but a more ceremonial, almost festive sound. He turns onto a broader avenue, and you suddenly understand the source of the commotion. The street is already gathering crowds, people lining the edges, their faces alight with anticipation. Children perch on their parents' shoulders, craning their necks for a better view. Vendors, opportunistic as ever, are weaving through the throngs, hawking cold drinks and small, sweet rice cakes. It's a bustling, cheerful scene, a vibrant tableau of Edo at play. A procession is slowly making its way down the street. It's not a grand samurai parade or a daimyo's retinue, but something more intimate, more deeply rooted in the daily lives of the common people. Costumed figures, some wearing elaborate masks depicting benevolent spirits, others carrying brightly colored banners or dancing with impressive energy, move to the rhythm of the drums and flutes. This is a local festival, a celebration of a good harvest, or perhaps a Maya deity, a periodic eruption of joy that broke the everyday monotony of work and routine. It's like watching a flash mob, but with way better costumes and significantly more historical significance. Our cloud watcher doesn't join the throngs pressing against the barriers. Instead, he finds a quieter spot, off to the side, near the entrance of a small shrine. From here, he can observe the spectacle without being entirely swallowed by it. His gaze, once fixed on the sky, now takes in the human drama unfolding before him. He watches with a calm, observant eye, a quiet participant in the city's collective exuberance. There's a faint smile on his lips, a gentle amusement at the joyous chaos. A major historical fact is the sheer number and variety of public festivals that punctuated the calendar in Edo, Japan. These festivals were incredibly important for social cohesion, offering opportunities for communities to gather, celebrate, and temporarily transcend the rigid social hierarchies of the time. They were vibrant, colorful affairs, often incorporating music, dance, and elaborate costumes, providing a vital outlet for collective expression and entertainment. They were the original long weekends, but with more spiritual meaning and less binge-watching. As the procession winds closer, you notice a peculiar detail. One of the masked dancers, a figure embodying a benevolent fox spirit, moves with an unusual grace. His movements not just energetic, but almost fluid, as if he is flowing through the air rather than stepping on the ground. He occasionally pauses, his masked head tilting slightly upwards, as if sensing something beyond the immediate spectacle. He then performs a subtle, almost imperceptible gesture with his hand, a gentle circular motion that seems to encompass the sky itself. An obscure cultural tidbit related to Edo period Matsuri was the occasional inclusion of performers, often from specific artistic lineages, who would incorporate subtle elements of kamonomichi into their festival dances. These were not overt public displays of cloud watching, but rather symbolic movements and gestures that paid homage to the sky or mimicked the flow of clouds and wind. These subtle additions were often only recognized and appreciated by a discerning few in the audience, who shared an understanding of such esoteric practices. Historians still debate the extent to which these spiritual or contemplative elements were truly understood by the general populace, or simply enjoyed as part of the overall spectacle. Our cloud watcher, you notice, watches this particular dancer with a heightened, almost focused attention. There's a flicker of recognition in his eyes, a shared understanding passing between the silent observer and the masked performer. It's a quiet moment of connection in the midst of the swirling energy, a reminder that even in the most public of spaces, shared interests and esoteric knowledge can create invisible bonds. The drums pound, the flutes wail, the crowd cheers, but for a fleeting moment, a quiet dialogue occurs, a gentle acknowledgement of the shared human impulse to find meaning and beauty in the world, whether in the grand gestures of a festival or the quiet dance of the clouds. This feeling of subtle connection, you realize, is just as powerful as the grand spectacle itself. As the midday festival procession slowly weaves its way down the thoroughfare, its drums gradually fading into the general hum of the city, our cloud watcher begins to turn his attention elsewhere. The sun, having peaked, now begins its slow, imperceptible descent, painting the western sky with a softer, more diffused light. The energy of the crowd, while still present, has begun to mellow, a comfortable post-excitement lull settling in. You notice people starting to disperse, some heading towards eateries, others seeking the shade of overhanging eaves for a quiet moment of rest. It's like the city is collectively taking a deep breath after a particularly exhilarating sprint. He finds himself near a small, open-fronted shop, its interior filled with an intoxicating aroma of wood shavings and a faint, sweet smell of lacquer. This isn't an ink shop, nor a paper vendor. This is a place where brushes are made. Not the broad, utilitarian brushes for painting houses or large scrolls, but delicate, exquisitely crafted instruments, each one a miniature work of art in itself. Bristles of badger, deer, or even rabbit hair are meticulously bound to slender bamboo handles, polished to a soft sheen. You can almost feel the smooth glide of the bristles, the perfect balance of the handle, just by looking. It's the kind of shop where a single brush isn't just a tool, but a companion for artistic exploration. He enters, and the sound of the city outside is instantly muted, replaced by the soft whisper of a craftsman at work. The brushmaker, a woman with keen eyes and incredibly nimble fingers, is seated on a low stool, meticulously sorting individual hairs, her movements precise and almost hypnotic. She looks up as our cloud watcher enters, offering a quiet, deferential nod. They don't speak much. Their communication more often through shared glances and the subtle handling of the brushes themselves. There's a deep, unspoken respect here, an understanding of the profound connection between the artist and their tools. A major historical fact is the immense value placed on high-quality tools by artisans in Edo period Japan. Unlike a modern society where tools are often mass-produced and disposable, each brush, chisel, or blade was often handmade, cared for, and even passed down through generations. The relationship between an artisan and their tools was almost sacred, imbued with a sense of respect and partnership, much like a samurai and their sword, but with less dramatic consequences. This meticulous attention to the means of creation speaks volumes about their philosophy of craftsmanship. Our cloud watcher isn't necessarily in need of a new brush. He carefully picks up a few from a display, feeling their weight, testing the spring of their bristles against his thumb. He examines the delicate binding, the balance of the bamboo handle. It's a sensory appreciation, a quiet conversation with the craftsmanship. You might be comparing the feel of a badger hairbrush to a rabbit hair one, considering how each would behave with different ink consistencies, or how they might capture the ephemeral quality of a cloud's edge. He's not just shopping. He's communing with the essence of his craft. An obscure cultural tidbit related to Edo period brushes. Some master brush makers would subtly tune their finest brushes by adjusting the number and length of individual hairs, allowing the brush to hold more or less ink, or to produce a specific type of line, from a broad wash to an almost impossibly fine point. This tuning was often imperceptible to the untrained eye, but made a significant difference to a skilled calligrapher or painter. Historians still debate the extent of these subtle modifications, as many were closely guarded trade secrets passed down orally. It's the kind of subtle magic that makes you appreciate the dedication. He puts the brushes back with the same care he used to pick them up, leaving them precisely as he found them. His visit is less about acquisition and more about observation, a quiet appreciation for the meticulous dedication of another artisan. He might be mentally comparing the brushmaker's focused movements to his own quiet contemplation of the clouds, finding parallels in the dedication to a singular, precise act. The scent of wood and lacquer lingers in the air as he bows and steps back out, feeling perhaps a renewed sense of purpose, a gentle reminder of the dedication required for any pursuit of beauty. The afternoon sun, now a burnished gold, cast long, theatrical shadows across the rooftops and narrow lanes of Edo. The city's energy, which had mellowed slightly, now seems to anticipate the approaching twilight, a different kind of quiet settling in, one infused with the promise of evening rituals. Our cloud watcher, his errands complete, begins to make his way back towards his own neighborhood, his steps still unhurried, his gaze still occasionally drifting upward, as if checking the sky's progress towards the night. The clouds, now bathed in the warm, orange glow, seem to stretch and soften, their forms becoming more indistinct, blurring into the deepening hues of the horizon. He passes by a traditional Edo firefighting watchtower, a tall, sturdy wooden structure that looms above the surrounding houses. From its top, a lone watchman keeps a constant vigil, his eyes scanning the endless sea of timber roofs for the first wisp of smoke, a constant, silent reminder of the ever-present threat of fire in a city built largely of wood and paper. It's a sobering thought, a practical grounding in the realities of daily life amidst all the poetic contemplation. You realize that even in a culture obsessed with beauty and ephemerality, the very real dangers of urban existence were never far from mind. It's like living in a beautiful paper castle that could spontaneously combust at any moment. He turns down a familiar street, one that feels more residential, its houses closer together, their small gardens boasting potted plants and miniature rock arrangements. The scent of dinner preparations begins to waft from open doorways, savory stewed vegetables, grilled fish, the comforting aroma of freshly cooked rice. The sounds are gentler here. The murmur of family conversations, the distant cry of a child, the quiet clatter of dishes. It's the sound of a city settling down for the night, a symphony of domesticity. He arrives back in his modest home, the sliding shoshi still invitingly open. The interior, which was dim in the morning, now holds a soft, welcoming glow from an oil lamp, its gentle light casting dancing shadows on the tatami mats. The woman from the morning, his wife, is preparing dinner in the small kitchen area, her movements efficient and practiced. The warmth of the hearth permeates the house, a comforting embrace after a day of wandering. A major historical fact is the profound importance of the family unit and the home as the center of life in Edo period Japan. Despite the bustling public life, the home was a sanctuary, a place of order, ritual, and emotional grounding. Daily routines, from communal meals to the precise arrangement of household items, reinforced a sense of stability and belonging. It was the original, "There's no place like home" mantra, only with fewer ruby slippers and more meticulous cleaning schedules. He places his lacquered box carefully in its designated spot, perhaps near the small bonsai tree you noticed earlier. He doesn't immediately talk about his day or his cloud watching. Instead, he quietly washes his hands and joins his wife in the preparation of the evening meal, his movements now seamlessly integrated into the rhythm of domestic life. He might be slicing vegetables with a practiced hand, or stirring a pot of simmering broth. The quiet companionship, the shared task of preparing food, is a different kind of contemplation, a grounding in the simple, essential acts of living. An obscure cultural tidbit. It was common in Edo period households for family members, even adults, to engage in a brief, silent moment of reflection before the evening meal. This wasn't necessarily a formal prayer, but a quiet acknowledgement of gratitude for the day's sustenance, or a moment to clear the mind before sharing the meal. Historians still debate the specific origins and universality of this practice, but it certainly aligns with the broader Edo emphasis on mindfulness and appreciation for the mundane. It's like a quiet mental reset button before diving into your well-deserved dinner. As the sun dips below the horizon, painting the sky in a final, dramatic flourish of oranges and purples, the family sits down to eat. The conversation is gentle, interspersed with comfortable silences. He might briefly mention a particularly striking cloud formation he observed, or a subtle change in the sky's texture, sharing a piece of his quiet morning with his wife. It's not a lecture, just a shared moment of beauty. The day, with all its observations and interactions, slowly unwinds, finding its gentle conclusion in the warmth and comfort of home. You feel a peaceful sense of closure, the slow, rhythmic cadence of their evening mirroring the slow rhythmic breathing that might now be pulling you into a deeper state of relaxation. The quiet hum of the Edo evening deepens as the last vestiges of twilight fade into the velvety expanse of night. The moon, a slender crescent, begins its slow ascent, casting a pale, ethereal glow over the city. Oil lamps flicker within homes, their soft light spilling onto the narrow streets, creating pools of warmth in the encroaching darkness. The sounds of the day have receded, replaced by the gentle chirping of crickets, the distant, rhythmic clang of a night watchman's stick on the pavement, and the occasional muffled strains of a shamisen from a distant entertainment district. It's a lullaby of a city, a comforting symphony of slumber, and you find yourself sinking deeper into its peaceful embrace. Our cloud watcher and his wife are now sitting quietly in their home. The dinner has been cleared, the dishes meticulously put away. The warmth from the hearth has softened the evening chill, creating a cocoon of comfort. They are not engaged in conversation, but rather in a shared silence, a comfortable, almost palpable presence that speaks volumes about their long years together. He might be idly tracing the patterns on the tatami mat with his finger, or simply gazing into the gentle flicker of the oil lamp. It's a moment of unwinding, a gradual transition from the day's activities to the quiet repose of night. He reaches for his lacquer box, the one he carried to the cloud-watching hill in the morning. He opens it slowly, deliberately, not with the anticipation of a child opening a gift, but with the quiet reverence of a scholar preparing for study. From within, he carefully withdraws the small folded pieces of washi he created that morning, his visual notes from the sky. He lays them out on a low table, arranging them in a sequence, perhaps mirroring the progression of the clouds across the dawn sky. It's a quiet exhibition, a private gallery of ephemeral beauty. A major historical fact to consider is that for many individuals in Edo period Japan, particularly those involved in artistic or contemplative pursuits, the evening was not just for sleep, but often for reflection and the refinement of their daily observations. This was a time for internalizing experiences, for transferring fleeting sensations into more permanent forms, be it poetry, painting, or simply deepened understanding. It was a time for processing the day's data, if you will, but with a much more poetic and less analytical approach. Think of it as their version of winding down with a good book, only the book was written by the sky itself. His wife, without a word, prepares a fresh pot of roasted green tea, its soothing aroma filling the quiet space. She brings it to the table, placing it gently beside the cloud sketches. She doesn't comment on them, but occasionally glances at them, her eyes softened by the lamplight, a silent appreciation for his quiet passion. It's a beautiful tableau of shared understanding, where words are often unnecessary. An obscure cultural tidbit related to Edo period evening rituals. Some practitioners of komonomichi would sometimes use a small, clear glass sphere or a shallow bowl of water to project the moon's reflection onto a darkened wall or ceiling. This subtle, shifting image of the moon, often distorted and ethereal, was used as a focal point for evening meditation, a way to connect with the celestial bodies even indoors. Historians still debate the widespread nature of this particular practice, but it certainly speaks to the ingenuity of finding ways to connect with nature within the confines of a home. Imagine watching the moon drift across your ceiling while trying to fall asleep. It's practically a built-in sleep aid. He picks up one of his sketches, holding it closer to the lamplight. He doesn't redraw or correct, but rather gazes at it, allowing the memory of the cloud it represents to wash over him. Perhaps he remembers the chill of the pre-dawn air, the way the first light touched the wisps of white, the feeling of serene isolation on the hill. It's a re-engagement with the moment, a reliving of the fleeting beauty. These are not just drawings. They are anchors to specific moments in time, distilled essences of sky and light. He's not merely looking at them. He is re-experiencing them, allowing the day's observations to deepen and settle within him, creating a rich inner landscape. The quiet evening deepens into the profound stillness of the Edo night. The moonlight, now brighter and more direct, paints the sliding shoshi screens with ghostly patterns, transforming the familiar room into something subtly new and mysterious. The only sounds are the distant, comforting rhythm of the night watchman's clappers, announcing the passage of the hours and the faint rustle of the wind through the eaves. It's a silence that isn't empty, but full of the quiet presence of a sleeping city, and the gentle, almost imperceptible hum of lives unfolding within its wooden walls. You feel yourself drifting, a feather on the soft currents of night air, witnessing this intimate tableau. Our cloud watcher, still seated at his low table, has put away his morning sketches. The washi is neatly folded, returned to the lacquered box, its temporary mission complete. Now, he pulls out a different item from the box, a small, leather-bound journal, its pages well-worn, its spine softened by countless openings and closings. This isn't a diary in the modern sense, filled with personal musings or daily events. This is something far more focused, a dedicated record of his decades-long conversation with the sky. It's like a scientific logbook, if scientists were poets and their subject was the ethereal dance of water vapor. He opens the journal to a blank page, his movements slow and deliberate, as if preparing for a serious but welcome task. He takes out a fresh block of ink and his grinding stone, the same ones he used in the morning. The soft, rhythmic sound of the ink being ground echoes quietly in the room, a meditative cadence that seems to deepen the silence. It's a ritual that connects his day to his night, his external observations to his internal reflections. It's a bit like someone preparing their favorite comfort food late at night, only instead of a sandwich, it's existential pondering captured in ink. A major historical fact relevant here is the long tradition of detailed observation and record-keeping in Japanese culture, often meticulously maintained even by individuals not formally recognized as scholars or scientists. From farmers recording weather patterns to artisans documenting techniques, this emphasis on precise observation contributed to a vast body of empirical knowledge. Our cloud watcher, in his own way, is part of this grand tradition, a silent contributor to a collective understanding of the natural world, even if his data is less about predicting the next typhoon and more about appreciating the beauty of fleeting forms. With his ink prepared, he takes up his brush. He doesn't draw now, not in the same way he did in the morning. Instead, he writes. Small, precise characters, perhaps a brief haiku capturing the essence of a cloud formation, or a single line describing the unique quality of the morning light. Sometimes it's a date and a short notation about a particularly unusual cloud, a phenomenon he might have seen only a handful of times in his life. It's a minimalist record, each entry a tiny window into a specific moment of celestial observation. An obscure cultural tidbit, some devoted kamonomichi. Practitioners developed their own highly personalized and often abstract notation systems to record cloud phenomena. These were not universally understood, but rather a kind of visual shorthand, almost like musical notation for clouds, used to capture nuances that standard descriptive language couldn't convey. Historians still debate the decipherability of some of these unique notations, as they often vary greatly from person to person. It's like everyone had their own secret code for that one fluffy cloud that looked like a grumpy cat. He pauses, sometimes closing his eyes, perhaps recalling the precise shape, the specific lighting, the feeling of the wind on his face as he made his morning observations. His wife, now quietly arranging futons for sleep in another part of the room, casts a glance towards him, a silent understanding passing between them. She respects his quiet communion, this nightly ritual that anchors his spirit and connects him to something larger than himself. He writes for a little while longer, then carefully places the brush down, his entry for the day complete. He closes the journal with a soft, satisfying click, a gentle punctuation mark at the end of his day's journey. The journal, with its accumulated wisdom and silent observations, becomes a quiet testament to a life lived in mindful appreciation of the fleeting beauty around him. You feel the profound sense of peace emanating from him, a deep contentment that comes from a day well spent, a spirit well fed, and a mind quietly at rest. The night watchman's clappers grow fainter now, signaling the deep hours of sleep, and you find yourself truly ready to surrender to the peaceful darkness. The deep silence of the Edo night settles around you, a palpable blanket woven from the absence of sound. Even the night watchman's clappers are now but a faint, almost imagined echo in the vast, sleeping city. The moon, now higher and fuller, casts long, stark shadows, transforming familiar rooftops into dark, intriguing silhouettes against the pale sky. The air, cool and crisp, carries the faint, sweet scent of distant night-blooming flowers and the ever-present, grounding aroma of damp earth. It's a profound quiet, the kind that invites introspection, or perhaps simply a deep, restful surrender. Within the cloud watcher's home, the oil lamp has been extinguished, leaving the room bathed in the soft, diffused moonlight filtering through the shoshi. He and his wife are now settled on their futons, their forms barely visible in the dim light. There are no more sounds from them, no murmurs, no rustles. Only the quiet, rhythmic breathing of sleep, a testament to the peaceful conclusion of their day. You too feel the gentle pull of slumber, a profound sense of tranquility washing over you, dissolving the edges of the waking world. As they sleep, their dreams might be woven from the threads of their day. Perhaps the cloud watcher dreams of vast, shifting skies, of clouds forming mythical beasts or distant landscapes, their ephemeral beauty captured not just on paper, but in the very fabric of his consciousness. Perhaps his wife dreams of the quiet rhythm of their home, the comforting warmth of the hearth, the taste of freshly brewed tea. These are not grand, dramatic dreams, but gentle, profound reflections of a life lived with quiet purpose and deep appreciation for the simple beauty of existence. A major historical fact to gently place here is the understanding of dreams in Edo period Japan. While specific interpretations varied, dreams were often seen not just as random brain activity, but as messages from the spiritual world, insights into one's true self, or even glimpses of future events. This perspective lent a certain reverence to the act of dreaming, elevating it from mere unconsciousness to a significant aspect of human experience. It was like their version of a nightly spiritual broadcast, only without the commercials for mattresses. You find yourself drifting above them, a silent guardian over their peaceful slumber. You notice the faint shimmer of moonlight on the lacquered box, sitting quietly in the corner, holding within it the day's observations, the sketches of morning clouds, the newly acquired washi, the polished viewing stones, and the worn journal filled with years of dedicated celestial notes. It's a repository of a lifetime's quiet pursuit, a testament to a unique way of seeing the world. The box itself seems to emanate a subtle warmth, a contained energy of quiet passion. An obscure cultural tidbit related to sleep and the moon in Edo period Japan was the practice of some individuals, particularly poets and contemplative figures, trying to sleep with their heads oriented towards the moon on certain nights. It was believed this would encourage more vivid or insightful dreams, or simply deepen their connection to the celestial rhythm. Historians still debate the actual prevalence and purpose of this specific sleeping orientation, but it highlights a pervasive desire to align oneself with the natural world, even in the deepest hours of night. It's like their version of having a good vibes only sign, but for lunar energy. The Edo night continues its silent progression, marked only by the gentle rotation of the earth, carrying this island nation ever onward. The city itself breathes, a vast, complex organism resting before another day of industry, ceremony, and quiet contemplation. Our cloud watcher, in his peaceful sleep, is a small but significant part of this grand historical canvas. His life, seemingly ordinary, is enriched by an extraordinary dedication to the ephemeral, a constant search for beauty in the ever-changing sky. He reminds you that sometimes the most profound adventures are not found in grand journeys, but in the patient, observant stillness of one's own backyard, or in this case, above one's rooftop. As the moon begins its slow descent towards the western horizon, and the stars, having shone brightly, start to subtly dim, a profound shift occurs in the Edo night. The deep, settled silence of the midnight hours slowly, imperceptibly begins to lighten. The air, which was crisp and still, gains a faint, almost imperceptible humidity, a pre-dawn dampness that hints at the coming day. It's a liminal space, neither full night nor full morning, a moment of quiet anticipation before the world truly awakens. You can almost feel the earth rotating, carrying this island city towards the sun's embrace. Within the cloud watcher's home, the peaceful sleep continues. Their breathing remains deep and rhythmic, undisturbed by the subtle shift in the atmosphere. The moonlight, now softer and more diffused, paints the room in shades of gray, a monochrome canvas awaiting the first brushstrokes of dawn. The lacquered box, quiet and still, holds the promise of another day's observations, another cycle of sky gazing and reflection. You drift through the sleeping city, a silent observer of its gentle transition. You pass by the temple garden, where the bonsai trees stand like miniature sentinels, their ancient forms etched against the paling sky. The pond's surface, which reflected the moon's brilliance hours ago, is now a still, dark mirror, awaiting the golden kiss of the sun. The air here is still profoundly peaceful, a sanctuary within the slumbering metropolis, where even the plants seem to hold their breath in anticipation. A major historical fact to gently consider is the Edo period's profound connection to the concept of mono, no aware. The poignant awareness of the impermanence of things, the gentle sadness at their passing, but also the deep appreciation of their fleeting beauty. This sensitivity to change, to the cyclical nature of life and season, deeply permeated their art, poetry, and daily philosophy. The dawn, in this context, wasn't just the start of a new day, but a quiet reminder of the endless cycles of beginning and ending, light and shadow, cloud and clear sky. It's like watching a beautiful sand mandala being created, knowing it will soon be swept away, but appreciating every grain while it lasts. You drift over the river, its surface still and dark, reflecting the last few prominent stars like scattered diamonds. The wooden bridges, which will soon thrum with the footsteps of thousands, stand silent and empty, their elegant forms arching gracefully against the paling sky. A lone fishing boat, its lantern, a tiny beacon in the vastness, might be slowly making its way upstream, its occupants already engaged in their quiet labor, harvesting the bounty of the water before the city fully awakens. It's a reminder that even in the deepest hours of night, life continues, a quiet hum beneath the surface of the world. An obscure cultural tidbit related to this pre-dawn period was the practice of some Edo period poets and artists engaging in what they called akibonogari, literally dawn hunting. This wasn't a physical hunt, but a meditative practice of seeking out the subtle shifts in light and atmosphere just before sunrise, capturing the elusive beauty of the false dawn or the first, almost invisible blush of light. Historians still debate the prevalence of this solitary practice, but it perfectly encapsulates the Edo aesthetic of appreciating nuanced, fleeting moments. It's like being a connoisseur of silence and subtle color changes, which, let's be honest, sounds far more relaxing than actual hunting. The sky in the east begins to show the very first, almost imperceptible hint of color, a pale, watery gray, then a faint whisper of rose, bleeding slowly into the darker blues above. The clouds, those constant companions of our story, are beginning to form anew, like fresh thoughts taking shape in the vast mind of the sky. They are delicate, still translucent, catching the emerging light with a shy grace. It's the very beginning of the cycle that our cloud watcher knows so well, the start of another day's quiet conversation with the heavens. You can feel the quiet anticipation in the air, the world holding its breath for the grand unveiling of the sun, preparing for another day of observation, connection, and gentle, enduring beauty. This is the moment, you realize, when the magic truly begins again. The first tentative fingers of dawn begin to stretch across the Edo sky, chasing away the lingering shadows of night. A whisper of pink and gold touches the eastern horizon, painting the edges of newly forming clouds with a delicate, ethereal light. The air, cool and fresh, carries the subtle scent of dew-kissed earth and the faint, awakening aroma of distant charcoal fires. You sense the city itself beginning its slow, involuntary stretch, a vast, complex entity preparing to greet another day. This is the moment, precisely this sliver of time, that our cloud watcher treasures most deeply. Within his humble home, the first signs of stirring are almost imperceptible. A soft sigh, the gentle rustle of a futon being carefully folded and put away. He's awake, not with the abrupt jolt of an alarm, but with the quiet awareness that comes from a life attuned to the subtle rhythms of the natural world. He doesn't rush, doesn't fret. There's a graceful unhurriedness to his movements, a silent acknowledgement of the sacredness of these early morning hours. It's like watching a perfectly choreographed ballet, but for one very dedicated and slightly sleepy protagonist. He performs his morning ablutions with quiet reverence, a splash of cool water on his face, a mindful straightening of his simple cotton kimono. Every action is imbued with a quiet dignity, a testament to the Edo philosophy that even the most mundane tasks can be elevated through mindful execution. It's a stark contrast to the modern morning rush, where we often spill coffee on ourselves while simultaneously checking emails and wondering if we locked the door. A major historical fact to gently weave in is the concept of ezazuma in Edo period households, which were not seen as burdensome tasks, but as essential rituals that prepare both the home and its occupants for the day ahead. These routines often involved meticulous cleaning, setting out seasonal decorations, and preparing tea, all performed with a focus on harmony and order. This meticulous approach to daily life contributed to the renowned cleanliness and aesthetic beauty of Edo society, which even foreign visitors often remarked upon. They really had their morning routine down to a peaceful art form. He then moves towards the small designated space where his lacquer box resides. He picks it up with care, its weight familiar in his hands, a silent promise of the treasures within. The soft sheen of the lacquer reflects the nascent light, like a tiny polished mirror holding secrets of the sky. This box is more than just a container. It's a companion, a silent witness to countless dawns and endless cloud formations. An obscure cultural tidbit related to the materials used by Kamonomechi practitioners. Some of the more dedicated observers would commission special brushes with handles made from a specific type of bamboo that only grew on high mountain peaks, believing that the bamboo itself absorbed the clarity and purity of the high-altitude air, thus enhancing their connection to the sky when using the brush. Historians still debate the true efficacy of such beliefs versus their psychological or symbolic value, but it highlights the deep spiritual connection they sought with every aspect of their practice. Imagine going to such lengths just for a better view of a cloud. Talk about dedication. He steps outside, not yet to the cloud-watching hill, but to a small, private garden attached to his home. It's a tiny oasis, meticulously cared for, with a miniature stream, a few artfully placed stones, and a single, ancient pine tree whose gnarled branches reach towards the sky. He stands there for a moment, breathing deeply, allowing the cool, fresh air to fill his lungs. His gaze drifts upward towards the eastern horizon, where the first, delicate tendrils of cloud are just beginning to appear, like shy dancers emerging onto a vast, empty stage. The cycle begins anew, the gentle rhythm of his life, intimately intertwined with the ever-changing, endlessly fascinating canvas of the sky. And you, as his silent companion, are privileged to witness it all unfold once more. The first tentative fingers of dawn begin to stretch across the Edo sky, chasing away the lingering shadows of night. A whisper of pink and gold touches the eastern horizon, painting the edges of newly forming clouds with a delicate, ethereal light. The air, cool and fresh, carries the subtle scent of dew-kissed earth and the faint, awakening aroma of distant charcoal fires. You sense the city itself beginning its slow, involuntary stretch, a vast, complex entity preparing to greet another day. This is the moment, precisely this sliver of time, that our cloud watcher treasures most deeply. Within his humble home, the first signs of stirring are almost imperceptible. A soft sigh, the gentle rustle of a futon being carefully folded and put away. He's awake, not with the abrupt jolt of an alarm, but with the quiet awareness that comes from a life attuned to the subtle rhythms of the natural world. He doesn't rush, doesn't fret. There's a graceful unhurriedness to his movements, a silent acknowledgement of the sacredness of these early morning hours. It's like watching a perfectly choreographed ballet, but for one very dedicated and slightly sleepy protagonist. He performs his morning ablutions with quiet reverence, a splash of cool water on his face, a mindful straightening of his simple cotton kimono. Every action is imbued with a quiet dignity, a testament to the Edo philosophy that even the most mundane tasks can be elevated through mindful execution. It's a stark contrast to the modern morning rush, where we often spill coffee on ourselves while simultaneously checking emails and wondering if we locked the door. A major historical fact to gently weave in is the concept of ezazuma in Edo period households, which were not seen as burdensome tasks, but as essential rituals that prepare both the home and its occupants for the day ahead. These routines often involved meticulous cleaning, setting out seasonal decorations, and preparing tea, all performed with a focus on harmony and order. This meticulous approach to daily life contributed to the renowned cleanliness and aesthetic beauty of Edo society, which even foreign visitors often remarked upon. They really had their morning routine down to a peaceful art form. He then moves towards the small designated space where his lacquered box resides. He picks it up with care, its weight familiar in his hands, a silent promise of the treasures within. The soft sheen of the lacquer reflects the nascent light like a tiny polished mirror holding secrets of the sky. This box is more than just a container. It's a companion, a silent witness to countless dawns and endless cloud formations. An obscure cultural tidbit related to the materials used by Kamonomechi practitioners. Some of the more dedicated observers would commission special brushes with handles made from a specific type of bamboo that only grew on high mountain peaks, believing that the bamboo itself absorbed the clarity and purity of the high-altitude air, thus enhancing their connection to the sky when using the brush. Historians still debate the true efficacy of such beliefs versus their psychological or symbolic value, but it highlights the deep spiritual connection they sought with every aspect of their practice. Imagine going such lengths just for a better view of a cloud. Talk about dedication. He steps outside, not yet to the cloud-watching hill, but to a small, private garden attached to his home. It's a tiny oasis, meticulously cared for, with a miniature stream, a few artfully placed stones, and a single, ancient pine tree whose gnarled branches reach towards the sky. He stands there for a moment, breathing deeply, allowing the cool, fresh air to fill his lungs. His gaze drifts upward towards the eastern horizon, where the first, delicate tendrils of cloud are just beginning to appear, like shy dancers emerging onto a vast, empty stage. The cycle begins anew, the gentle rhythm of his life, intimately intertwined with the ever-changing, endlessly fascinating canvas of the sky. And you, as his silent companion, are privileged to witness it all unfold once more. The Edo dawn, now fully embraced by the rising sun, spills its golden light across the cloud watcher's private garden. The delicate, nascent clouds of moments ago have begun to swell and drift, catching the light in ever-changing patterns. The air is still cool, but carries the undeniable promise of warmth, and the gentle chirping of unseen birds begins to punctuate the silence, a soft, natural melody accompanying the visual symphony above. Our cloud watcher, now with his lacquered box and grinding stone meticulously laid out on a low, portable table in the garden, begins his sacred morning ritual anew. He sits on a small woven mat, his posture upright but relaxed, his gaze unwavering as he watches the unfolding drama of the sky. The familiar rhythm of grinding ink begins, a soft, almost hypnotic scrape of stone on stone, a sound that has accompanied countless dawns for him. This isn't merely about preparing the ink. It's a meditative act, a way to clear the mind and attune the senses to the subtle shifts in the atmosphere. It's like the quiet hum of a perfectly tuned engine, indicating everything is precisely as it should be. You realize this isn't just a hobby. It's a profound connection to the flow of life itself. A major historical fact to consider is that the gardens in Edo period homes, even small ones, were meticulously designed microcosms of the natural world, often incorporating elements like water, rocks, and carefully selected plants to evoke a sense of peace and contemplation. These gardens were not just decorative. They were functional spaces for meditation, tea ceremonies, and quiet artistic pursuits, blurring the lines between nature and daily life. They were the original mindfulness apps, but with significantly more moss and less screen glare. As the ink darkens to a rich, velvety black, the first definitive cloud formations begin to solidify in the eastern sky. A broad, flat expanse of cloud, like a vast pearly ocean, stretches out, its edges tinged with a soft peach hue. Then smaller, fluffier clouds like playful cherubs begin to dance above it, their forms constantly shifting, dissolving, and reforming. Our cloud watcher chooses his brush with careful deliberation, selecting one whose fine point seems perfectly suited to capture the delicate curl of a cloud's edge. An obscure cultural tidbit: some very dedicated Kamonomichi practitioners would use rainwater, collected specifically during certain moon phases, to mix with their ink, believing it imparted a unique quality and depth to their sketches of clouds. This was seen as a way of integrating the celestial and terrestrial elements of their observation directly into their artistic medium. Historians still debate the actual impact of such water on the ink's properties, but it speaks volumes about the meticulous and deeply symbolic nature of their craft. It's like insisting on using organic, ethically sourced water for your morning coffee, but for ancient art. He dips his brush, the dark ink clinging to the delicate bristles, and begins to draw. His hand moves with a fluidity born of years of practice, each stroke confident and precise, yet imbued with a lightness that perfectly reflects the ephemeral nature of his subject. He doesn't trace outlines. Instead, he captures the movement of the clouds, their internal energy, the way light plays across their surfaces. The white of the paper becomes the vastness of the sky, and the black ink, the transient forms that dance across it. It's a silent conversation between earth, artist, and heaven. He works for a while, absorbed in the quiet intensity of his observation and creation. His wife, unseen but present, might bring him a fresh cup of tea, its warmth a gentle anchor in his contemplative world. The sounds of the awakening city remain distant, a muffled hum that cannot penetrate the quiet sanctuary of the garden. For this precious window of time, only the clouds and the meticulous dance of brush and ink exist. You feel the profound peace of his single-minded focus, a quiet contentment that comes from being utterly present in a moment of creation, connected to something vast and beautiful. As the morning progresses and the sun climbs higher, the Edo sky transforms into a dynamic canvas, a constant interplay of light and shadow, form and void. The clouds, now more numerous and robust, begin to interact with each other, merging, stretching, sometimes dissolving entirely, only to reform anew moments later. Our cloud watcher, still seated in his garden, continues his silent vigil, his eyes tracking every subtle shift, every fleeting transformation. He is a connoisseur of the ephemeral, a silent archivist of the sky's endless performance. He picks up another piece of washi, its surface a pristine white, ready to receive the imprint of the heavens. This time, his strokes are different. Perhaps the clouds have taken on a more dramatic shape, a towering cumulonimbus or a long, sinuous cirrus. He adapts his technique, using bolder lines or wider washes, allowing the ink to bleed slightly, mimicking the soft, blurred edges of a distant cloud bank. There's no rigidity in his approach, only a flexible responsiveness to the ever-changing subject. It's like a jazz musician improvising on a familiar melody, each variation a fresh interpretation. A major historical fact is the deep connection between observation of nature and artistic expression in Edo period Japan. Artists, whether painters, poets, or calligraphers, often drew direct inspiration from natural phenomena, seeking to capture not just a visual appearance, but the spirit or essence of their subject. This wasn't merely about realism. It was about conveying a deeper understanding of nature's forces and its inherent beauty. Our cloud watcher embodies this ethos, his art a testament to the profound lessons learned from the sky. They truly understood that art wasn't just about what you saw, but what you felt. He pauses, holding his brush mid-air, his gaze fixed on a particular cloud formation. It's a group of smaller clouds, huddling together, almost like a flock of sheep, slowly drifting towards a larger, more imposing cloud. He watches their gentle convergence, their forms merging into a new, more substantial entity. There's a quiet wonder in his eyes, a profound appreciation for this natural ballet. He might even see faces or figures in the clouds, as children do, but with the refined eye of an adult who has cultivated this imagination over decades. An obscure cultural tidbit. Some Kamamichi practitioners believe that specific cloud formations were omens or messengers, carrying subtle cues about future events or reflecting the collective mood of the city. While this wasn't a widespread superstitious belief, the idea of the sky as a living, communicative entity was deeply ingrained. Historians still debate the extent to which these interpretations were literal prophecies versus metaphorical reflections of internal states. It's like having a very slow, atmospheric fortune teller powered entirely by water vapor. He resumes his drawing, capturing the delicate merging of the clouds, the subtle changes in their texture as they become one. He works with a quiet intensity, utterly absorbed in the moment, oblivious to the growing sounds of the city beyond his garden walls. The distant shouts of street vendors, the rhythmic clatter of a cart, the murmur of waking neighbors all fade into a gentle background hum. For him, in this moment, only the sky exists, a vast, ever-changing canvas of inspiration. His small collection of sketches grows on the table, a chronological record of the morning's celestial journey. Each piece of washi, though simple, holds a profound story, a captured moment of beauty that, without his careful observation, would have simply drifted away, unseen and unremembered. He is not seeking fame or recognition for these works. They are for himself, for his own understanding, a quiet dialogue between his soul and the vastness above. You feel the deep satisfaction radiating from him, the quiet joy of a passion meticulously pursued, a life lived in harmony with the gentle, unhurried pace of the clouds. As the Edo morning deepens into afternoon, the quality of light changes once more. The sun, having moved past its zenith, now casts a softer, more angled glow, deepening the colors of the rooftops and highlighting the textures of ancient wood. The clouds, our constant companions, seem to grow more substantial, their forms becoming bolder, sometimes even appearing to stack upon each other, creating towering, ephemeral mountains against the vast blue. Our cloud watcher, having completed his initial morning sketches, slowly transitions from active drawing to pure, unadulterated observation. He leans back slightly, his eyes still fixed on the sky, but his hands now resting gently in his lap. He's not just looking for new forms to capture. He's watching the interaction of the clouds, their subtle dance of light and shadow. How one large cloud might slowly engulf a smaller one, or how a shaft of sunlight might pierce through a gap, illuminating a hidden pocket of vapor. It's like watching a silent play unfold on an infinite stage, each act more fleeting than the last. He might notice the subtle shift in color as a cloud moves into shadow, or the way its edges soften as it drifts higher into the thinner air. This is the profound heart of his practice, not just recording, but truly seeing. A major historical fact to gently place here is the concept of yohaku no bai in Japanese aesthetics, which translates to the beauty of emptiness, or the beauty of negative space. This principle, deeply embedded in art, architecture, and even poetry, emphasizes the importance of what is not depicted, the power of suggestion, and the space between elements. For our cloud watcher, the vast blue sky itself, the empty space between the clouds, holds as much beauty and meaning as the clouds themselves, allowing the viewer's imagination to fill in the unseen. It's like a painting where the blank canvas is as important as the brushstrokes. He closes his eyes for a moment, not to rest, but to deepen his perception. When he opens them again, the sky seems even more vivid, the cloud formations sharper, their movement more pronounced. He might imagine himself soaring among them, feeling the rush of the wind, the profound sense of freedom that comes with such an elevated perspective. It's a meditative flight, a journey of the mind, enabled by simple, patient observation. This deep immersion, you realize, is a form of quiet escape, a mental journey that requires no travel and no expense, only an open heart and an attentive mind. An obscure cultural tidbit related to cloud observation was the occasional practice among particularly devoted kimono-meichi, practitioners of attempting to predict subtle weather changes based purely on the shapes and movements of clouds, far beyond common folk wisdom. They might look for a specific dragon cloud formation to portend a coming storm, or a fish scale pattern to indicate clear skies. Historians still debate the scientific accuracy of these hyper-specific observations versus their symbolic or psychological significance, but it highlights a desire to find deeper meaning and connection in every aspect of the natural world. It's like having a very slow, very poetic weather app in your brain. He reaches for his journal again, not to sketch, but to make a brief, concise note. Perhaps it's a single word, a fleeting impression of the sky's mood, or a short, abstract symbol that only he would understand. It's a distillation of moments, captured not through detailed drawing, but through the essence of feeling. The quiet scratching of his brush on the paper is the only sound, a gentle punctuation mark in the vast silence of his contemplation. You feel the profound peace that emanates from him, a deep, settled contentment that comes from a life lived in mindful communion with the simple, profound beauty of the world around him. His gaze, now relaxed, holds a quiet wisdom, reflecting the vastness of the sky he so meticulously observes. As the afternoon sun begins its gradual descent, casting longer, softer shadows across the Edo landscape, a profound change in the atmosphere becomes palpable. The air, which was crisp in the morning and warm at midday, now takes on a gentle coolness, carrying with it the subtle, earthy scent of dampening soil and the distant murmur of the city preparing for its evening repose. Our cloud watcher, still in his garden, shifts his gaze from the high, drifting clouds to the lower horizon, where the sky is beginning to paint itself in the first subtle hues of twilight. The clouds, now bathed in a gentle, diffused light, seem to soften, their edges blurring. Preparing for their nightly dissolution, he doesn't reach for his brush or ink now. His work of active observation and recording for the day is largely complete. This period is for pure absorption, for allowing the beauty of the fading light and the softening cloud forms to simply wash over him. His posture is relaxed, almost meditative, his eyes open, yet unfocused, taking in the grand, unfolding spectacle of the sunset. It's a moment of surrender, a quiet acceptance of the day's graceful conclusion, much like the gentle sigh one might let out after a long, fulfilling journey. You feel a similar sense of peaceful transition, a slow easing into the tranquility of dusk. A major historical fact is the deep aesthetic appreciation for the fleeting beauty of twilight or tasagare in Japanese culture. This concept goes beyond mere observation of the sunset. It speaks to the poignant beauty of the moment when light fades into shadow, when the familiar becomes mysterious, and when the boundaries between the visible and the invisible seem to blur. For our cloud watcher, this hour is as significant as the dawn, a testament to the cyclical nature of beauty and change. They understood that beauty wasn't just in the arrival of light, but in its gentle departure. The sky begins its slow transformation, a grand silent opera of color. Pinks deepen into oranges, then bleed into soft purples and lavenders, stretching across the vast expanse. Clouds that were once bright white now become silhouettes, their forms stark against the vibrant backdrop, or glow with an inner fire, illuminated from behind by the sinking sun. It's a breathtaking display, a final dramatic flourish before the arrival of night. You find yourself utterly captivated, pulled into the profound beauty of the moment, realizing how much quiet wonder often goes unnoticed in the rush of daily life. An obscure cultural tidbit related to evening cloud watching was the practice among some Kamonomichi adherents of engaging in yugungu aways, or evening cloud contemplation gatherings. These were informal, quiet gatherings, often among a few like-minded individuals, where they would simply sit and observe the sunset clouds together, sharing observations not through words, but through shared silence and perhaps subtle gestures. Historians still debate the specific rituals, if any, associated with these gatherings, but they highlight the communal aspect of appreciating natural beauty, even in stillness. It's like a silent book club, but with the sky as the only author. He remains in his spot until the last sliver of the sun disappears below the horizon, and the sky deepens into a rich, inky blue. The clouds, now mostly indistinct forms against the deepening twilight, are preparing to vanish entirely into the embrace of night. He takes a deep, slow breath, a quiet exhalation that seems to release the accumulated impressions of the day. There's a profound sense of peace on his face, a quiet contentment that comes from a spirit deeply nourished by the simple, enduring beauty of the natural world. He has completed another cycle, another day of quiet observation, and in doing so, has woven another thread into the rich tapestry of his contemplative life. The world around him settles, the city sounds softening into a gentle murmur, ready for its nightly slumber. The Edo night has fully descended, a vast, star-studded blanket draped over the sleeping city. The moon, a bright, luminous orb, casts a silver sheen across the rooftops and the winding lanes, illuminating the quiet landscape in soft, ethereal light. The air is cool and still, carrying only the faintest whispers of distant wind through the eaves, and the gentle, rhythmic chime of the night watchman's stick, a comforting pulse in the profound silence. This is the deepest hour of night, a time for rest, for dreams, and for the quiet integration of the day's experiences into the fabric of memory. You feel the deep stillness of this historical moment, a pervasive calm that invites you to release any lingering tensions and simply be present in the quiet. Our cloud watcher, his day of diligent observation complete, has long since retreated indoors. His home, a quiet sanctuary in the vast, slumbering city, is now dark save for the soft, diffused moonlight filtering through the shoshi screens, painting the tatami mats with shifting patterns of light and shadow. He and his wife are deep in slumber, their breathing slow and even, a testament to the peaceful rhythm of their lives, attuned to the natural world. Their dreams, perhaps, are woven from the sky's embrace, from the subtle dance of clouds, the changing light, the quiet beauty that permeates their every waking moment. The lacquered box, that silent repository of a lifetime's dedication, rests undisturbed in its accustomed place, holding within it the day's fresh sketches, the carefully chosen washi, the polished viewing stones, and the worn journal filled with years of observations. It is a quiet testament to a singular passion, a humble yet profound legacy of a life lived in mindful communion with the ephemeral. Each piece of paper, each delicate stroke of ink, is a fragment of time captured, a fleeting moment of beauty made eternal through attentive presence. A major historical fact, as we gently drift towards our journey's end, is the Edo period's remarkable ability to find profound spiritual and aesthetic meaning in the seemingly ordinary and transient aspects of nature. This was not a grand philosophical system for the elite, but a pervasive cultural sensibility that taught appreciation for the impermanence of things, the beauty in decay, and the quiet dignity of the cycles of life and nature. For many in Edo, every cloud, every falling leaf, every passing season was a teacher, offering lessons in acceptance and wonder. It was a philosophy woven into the very fabric of daily existence, making life itself a constant meditation. The gentle rhythm of the night watchman's clappers fades further into the distance, becoming almost inaudible, a mere whisper in the vast quiet. The moonlight seems to grow softer, more diffuse, as if the moon itself is preparing for its descent, ready to yield its dominion to the approaching dawn. You drift through the sleeping city, past quiet temples and darkened shops, feeling the profound peace of a world at rest. The gentle rustle of bamboo leaves in a distant garden, the faint, sweet scent of night-blooming jasmine carried on a stray breeze. These are the final, soft caresses of this historical night. An obscure cultural tidbit, as we let the Edo period gently recede, was the belief among some highly sensitive artists that certain Kiyomizu springs, whose waters were said to reflect the clearest skies, could be used to create an ink that truly captured the ethereal quality of clouds. This was more of a poetic ideal than a chemical reality, yet it speaks to the relentless pursuit of perfection and the deep connection between earthly elements and celestial inspiration. Historians still debate the specific properties attributed to such water, but it's a lovely thought, isn't it? That even the water beneath your feet might hold the secrets of the sky above. You are now simply a breath in the vastness, a gentle whisper in the quiet of history. The cloud watcher and his city sleep, ready to awaken to another day, another cycle of observation, another opportunity to find beauty in the fleeting forms of the sky. Our journey through the gentle art of Edo cloud watching comes to its peaceful conclusion. Allow the lingering scents of woodsmoke and green tea, the soft sounds of a sleeping city, and the quiet beauty of a starlit Edo sky to cradle you in its embrace. Feel the gentle rise and fall of your own breath, as calm and steady as the moon's silent journey across the heavens. Let the images of drifting clouds dissolve into the quiet of your mind, leaving behind only a profound sense of peace. Rest now, softly, deeply, and gently.